Welcome to the shooting show. This week we follow Mark Ripley on a long-range varminting mission as he shares all the tips and tricks of the trade on how to take out rabbits in a downland setting.
So I probably first started shooting long range about 10-11 years ago, mainly because of the type of ground that I was shooting on. Very often it would be difficult to get within sort of 200 yards of a fox. There was so little cover about, and quite often the angles of the hills and that made it very difficult to get a shot on a fox without skylining it. I also tend to do a bit of pest control at range just to sort of help keep my eye on, as it were. I quite often hear people say that they think it's unsporting shooting stuff at long range, yet the rifle's a long range tool. That's what it's designed to do. You know, these same people are quite happy to shoot a high bird with a short range tool like a shotgun, and you know, it's designed for close range, and yet that's considered sporting. So I can't quite work that one out. Thing is, a hit from a high powered rifle, it's pretty definitive. You know, it's the destructive nature of the thing. Wounding's a rarity. Rifles, ammunition and shooting gear and that, it's so advanced these days. It's more of a scientific calculation just combined with a good shooting technique. Consistency is the biggest aspect of this sport. It's not just with your shooting technique, but also with your rifle and ammunition. Everything just needs to be accurate and as consistent as possible. Otherwise, you're not going to get repeatable results. So out here on this farm, the rabbits are burrowing into the hillsides and they're causing them to collapse and undermine the footpath. So any of the rabbits I'll take out today is just a bonus. They all get sold to a local zoo for animal food, so helps cover the cost of the ammunition. The only downside is a long walk to go and pick them up. So this morning I'm out doing a bit of varminting, using a couple of new products, so I'm kind of doing a bit of a testing thing this morning as well. It's a beautiful morning though, there's hardly any wind at all, so it's ideal for some nice long shots. First thing I've got is the 260 Rips Signature tripod, which is the new one from Wicked Lights. Very similar to the Recon tripod, it's just a bit more beefed up and just a bit more geared towards the precision shooter rather than sort of just kind of general foxing or sort of stalking. The other thing that I've got is a new scope from a company that's recently just been launched. This is a company called Element, and this particular scope, the Nexus 5 to 20 by 50, which is the first focal plane scope. So far I've been very impressed with it. It's got zero stop on it, so target style turrets. Yeah, it's just nice quality glass, very well engineered. So so far I've been quite enjoying using it. Right, so one of the problems this time of year is when you've got, like we've got here, we've got fields of wheat and barley and that all around me, and it can be very difficult when you're shooting at long distance to be able to get down low enough, because ideally you want to be shooting prone, but when the crops and grass and stuff is all sort of quite tall, it makes it very difficult on a lot of farms to find somewhere where you can actually go prone like that. So the tripod here comes in very handy for things like that. So what I've done here is I've set it up just so I can kneel down, and quite convenient I've got a water trough behind me there, so that means I can use my I can use the trough rather for a bit of support for my elbow from behind, because it's the only thing with tripods, you do get a little bit of side to side movement and that from the rear end of the thing. So hopefully that'll allow me to take some nice shots out across there. I've got a nice bank out the back there, so it's giving me a nice solid backstop, and I'm getting targets out there ranging between sort of 500 to 600 metres. So it's about 550 to 660 yards, there or thereabouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can spot a rabbit or something out on that bank there, and then hopefully demonstrate how well these products work. That rabbit was at 616 metres. Right, this rabbit's out at 570 metres. Let's just put that into the kestrel and see what we come up with. Right, there he is. One rabbit. Under 30 metres. Okay, got one sat on the barrier there, about the centre of the screen. He's out at 530 metres. Under 30 metres. Okay, so there's a few long range rabbits, and as you can see the equipment I'm using is performing very well. Now when it comes to doing this sort of thing, there's quite a lot that's involved in it. It's not just a kind of aim a little bit higher and hope for the best. Excuse me, this is more well, this is a precise calculation. So to do that, I'm using a Kestrel wind meter. This is the NV4500 Horus model. It's an old model now, but still a good unit, still very accurate, as you can see. So that's got all my ballistic information already programmed into it. I've done all the homework and that, sorted all that out. So basically all I've got to do is take a range the target. To do that, I'm using a pair of Leica Geovid binoculars, which have got a built-in rangefinder in there, so I can ping a target and ping a rabbit out on that bank over there, enter the range into the Kestrel, then dial it in. I'm using, as I say, the Element Nexus scope. Dial it in on that and take the shot. And as far as drops go, that's all fairly, there's not really an awful lot, unless you're shooting up or downhill, that really can sort of change your basic drops. The biggest factor that you're going to come up against is going to be the wind. Now today isn't too bad. We've probably got 3 to 4 mile an hour wind just coming in from the right there. You can see it just moving the tops of the crop here. You can see it all just blowing gently. I don't think you probably should be able to see that, I think, on the camera, but yeah, I can see that. So that gives me a good indication of what the wind's doing, which way it's blowing, how strong it's blowing. I can also take a wind reading using the Kestrel and factor that into the shot. The hardest part is deciding what the wind's doing out there. Here's not too bad because it's very open, so what the wind's doing this end is pretty much going to follow down through this valley here, right the way down pretty consistently, I would think. If it's coming in at an angle, very often what happens is it hits the bank and then blows along the bank. So another little technique that you can use is reading the mirage. Now this is a bit of an art that I don't think anyone really learns. You just get better at it. And what that is you get, especially on a lovely warm day like today, you get like heat waves coming up off the ground. It's a little bit like if you watch those old films and that, out in the desert and you see the road and it's all shimmering above the road. Well, that's what happens. You get that shimmer is what we call mirage, and that's the heat coming up off the ground in essence. And you can watch by the way that moves as to what the wind's doing. Now if it's going sort of just kind of shimmering straight up like that, then that's called a boiling mirage, and that basically means that there's no wind blowing that air, stopping it as it's rising up. There's nothing coming across which is going to affect your bullet. If you've got a mirage that's kind of going off to one side over at an angle, that's because the wind's blowing it that way. That's the air moving. So it gives you a pretty good indication of by that angle as to how fast the wind's going, and obviously which direction it's going in. Yes, that's just a quick sort of look at long range shooting and varminting as we're doing today. If it's something that you'd like to get into, then there's plenty of videos online that give you sort of instruction and stuff on long range, and there's quite a few people on there doing varminting videos, myself included. So you can get on there and check out my channels, 260 Rips, or just have a little look in there, just put in long range shooting, long range varminting, and yeah, get out and have a play.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and do ring that bell for more videos. And if you're not a member of Basque, it's time to join now. Basque, looking after your sport, looking after you. This has been The Shooting Show.